It's February 2025. Are you ever going to get that Range Rover sorted out, Richard? Your Range Rover. The one that you've done nothing with for 5 years now. Spoiler. Anyway, before we get into finding out how I got into this mess in the first place, check you're subscribed. If you're not subscribed, why ever not? Click the dingy bell thing. It notifies you when new content like this is coming up. If you fancy contacting me, then at Church House Classics, and that's all one word, at gmail.com. There's only one of me. It takes me a little while to get back. I will. Just bear with me, please. And if you fancy supporting the channel, every donation is gratefully received, and there's a PayPal me link scrolling down here. Enjoy it! Rolling forwards to February 2025. Yeah, I moved my car into the workshop a little while ago now. A year and a bit ago? A year ago maybe. I don't know. The idea was to put it into the workshop so I could work on it. And all it's done is get in the way. And I haven't been able to work on it because there's been other stuff boxing it in. Like little black midgets. It's just sat there. So the car needs to go back outside again because I need the workshop space. But I refuse for it to go back outside again without me doing something with it. So what I'm going to do is I am going to start with the replacement of the driver's side sill and hopefully get it done such that it's back on, doors are rehung, and it can go back outside and have a cover pulled over it, and I stand a chance of doing more work on it over the rest of this year. I think that makes sense, doesn't it? I don't know, it's terrible English, Richard. Who taught you your grammar? It certainly wasn't your grandma. Anyway, right, okay, so I literally just lobbed the back wing back in place when it came into the workshop, largely because the wing was lolloping around, but I'm probably going to end up changing this wing anyway. It's got a few dents and scabs and bits on it. The whole car's going to get painted, but I threw the wing back on. As you can see, the gap is large even for a Range Rover. It needs to come in a millimetre or two. We're not talking huge amounts. Gap between the front door and the rear door, similarly. Nice big dent there, look at that. Most of this stuff happened really while I was using the car, while it was in service. I have got new parts, so for instance, if I open the rear door, you'll see there's not an awful lot of the rear door remaining, and I have got another door to go on here. This door is scrap, but it shuts nicely. So today's exercise really is to get all the panels off this side. I want front wing off, I want the sill panel off, I want both doors off, I want the rear wing off. Front wing, I'm going to need to probably just take the corner bumper off, I think. Probably leave the bumper on itself. We'll have some amusement when I take the indicator unit out and the front grille off, because you'll see how much is actually left in there and why it is that I need to replace the inner wing. I have got new inner wings for this. But yeah, let's get going. It's going to be a bit patchy this, but what I'll do is I'm going to crack on with this like I do with all the projects. And I'm going to put the radio on, nice bit of music going on in the background while I do this to keep myself entertained. And then if I find something interesting, I'm going to come back and show you what I found that was interesting. Yeah, poor car. Get you back on the road again. I want to drive this again. I need it back on the road. I mean, the common sense part of it would be just go and get yourself another one, Richard. But then that's going to cost me somewhere between 6,000 and 8,000 for a runner that's probably going to need sills and so forth. And it's not going to be mine. So the idea is to get this one back on the road. I've got a fair number of new panels to go with it. So the bonnet, for instance, this bonnet, it's probably past it. It's not horrific, but it's probably past it. It'll do as a donor for something else. I have got a better bonnet to go. Better bonnet on your Range Rover. I've got another bonnet to go on there. Deck panel is fine, nothing wrong with that at all. Door, there's a dent there. I have got another door, but I might be able to work with this driver's door. Roof is going to stay on, not taking the roof off, it's just going to get painted. So rear wings, that door certainly. On the other side, it's going to be dark, so I'll get my torch. There we are, Mr. Torch. Right, okay, down this side. This wing has got a dent on this corner. Might be able to push it out, might not, I don't know. Till it comes off, it's actually not a bad wing. There's a tiny bit of corrosion at the bottom edge there, but otherwise, apart from that dent there, the rest of it is in good shape. Again, gaps on this side. Bear in mind that the work I've done already, I have already done a fair amount of welding on the rear arch and so forth on this side. If I get myself around, you'll see here, there's a new inner and outer arch there and an old sill. And I started to do the work around the heel board and so forth. All those welds need grinding back. On the front footwell, oh my goodness, that's tight. That's the bit that kind of renders the sill just a little bit too far gone. I have patched this sill so many times, it's not going to happen anymore. That is it. So new sills, both sides. Let's treat the old Duchess. Right, as I say, I'm going to start pulling it apart. It can only go in one direction. Well, it can go in two directions. It can be restored, or I can give up with it. But I'm not going to give up with it, so it's going to get restored. I'll ass it all apart. Now, obvious bits which I knew about. Yeah, I knew about all of that. There's no surprise there. The front headlight boxes were absolutely rotted out, and they were never going to get any better. The only seized fixing I had was the inner wing connecting up to the spoiler, and that's because when I last did this job, I drilled it through and put a nut and bolt right the way through, and it had just rusted in. So that's that. The bulkhead, well, none of it is going to be particularly nice, is it? I've got my hand right the way through here. That's why we're replacing the inner wings. Bulkhead side panel, I'm going to put back to a factory original. You can see what I've done here is I've cut the lip off that would go down there like that and round here, and I've just folded it around and welded it back on again. Nice big old patch there. So I'm inclined to put this all back to standard. Down here, enormous amounts of mud and stuff. Probably where I've been playing in my dad's field. The sill itself on this side is not as bad as it would appear as it is on the other side. So let's just rotate the tail light round. It's definitely gone there. You can see where I've welded a patch on around the base of the A-pillar. It's almost like I've welded on from there to there. Big old chunk. So I think, and I knew I'd welded this thing. I knew I'd patched this sill a couple of times. So I'm going to take the entire sill off and I'm going to put a brand new sill on. Very much the same as it is when working with the Discovery, except you've got a bit more access at the back end here for now. I'll probably end up just chopping the base of the B pillar off, making it good, and then put it back on again. But I need to find all of the spot welds, take all the electrics out from underneath the driver's seat, fold the carpet up and out of the way, and then I can get all of the spot welds. I'm going to completely detach the rear heel board from the end of the sill. So like the Disco, there's a triangular section that goes in there, which is part of this piece. I'll separate that out and see if I can't get it off in one piece. And then the idea is put the sill on and draw the arch forwards so that it meets the sill where it should do. I'm not convinced this arch is in the right place at the moment, so it could well be. I'm certainly cutting that shit out because I could do that better. And I may end up taking the arch off in order to align that properly, because I don't think that piece at the bottom there is in the right place. I think that should be more vertical, that piece there. So I think what's happened is the arch has been mounted too far back. So the arch needs to come forwards, And then when that then lines up with the arch when it comes forwards, everything will line up. It's going to give it the 2 or 3 mil it needs. I think I'll drill spot welds out. I'll get everything drilled out on the inside edge of the sill. I'll probably leave the box section connecting the A-B post together. And then as the last operation, I shall weld a piece of angle iron between the A post and the B post here. I'm not too worried about the B post or the C post up to the D post because that's all been modified anyway. But if I can certainly get the A and B post back in exactly the right place, then I adjust the D post up to meet where it wants to meet for the B/C post. B this side, C that side. If you get my drift. So yeah, I'm going to have to drill a whole bunch of spot welds. Tomorrow I've got a stag coming in, so that's the priority tomorrow. But if I get any spare time, I'll crack on with this. Yes. We can do better. We can do better. Whether I take the entire bulkhead side panel off, I did note that Stu at Machine All is doing the later style bulkhead side panels. So it might end up being that rather than try and salvage that one, because the other bundle of joy we've got here, somewhat unpredictably, folks, is that the bottom of the A pillar is blown. And they all do that, sir. They all do that. So, yeah, it's a case of chopping back to decent metal and building the structure back up as to how it should be. I want to keep as much of this as I possibly can. So it's going to be working with spot welds. There's actually not that much damage around here. So it could just be a fairly straightforward case of finding the spot welds, drilling them all the way around this piece, taking this entire box off. Yeah, I don't think it'd be too bad. Otherwise, it's just spot welds along this line here, right the way along, up to the front, and then just chop it off. Once I got the sill in place and the sill's connected to the A pillar and the B pillar, then I can do the bulkhead side, then I can do the footwell. But before all that, I think the entire dash is going to need to come out on this for me to do that up there, which is just a shambles. So I think sill, A post, B post, align the back end up, finish all the welding up until the A pillar on both sides, and then tackle bulkhead. Yep. Seems to make sense, doesn't it? Seems to make sense. And rather than just hacking this thing back together again, I want to do it nicely. Now, the reason that doesn't align is because I've actually made new lip, because these panels here don't come with the lip that the originals did. So I welded that on, but that can soon be cleaned back. As you can see that the arch is welded to the floor, the two black bits. I can soon cut that weld where the heel board goes on, separate that out, because it has gone all the way down here as well. And again, we can do a lot better than that. So this entire heel board section could probably come out. Leave that in as a reference point, and then what we end up with is that there's a reference point, that's a reference point. We can make this up then to fill in the section to the back of the sill. And the worst case scenario in this is I buy another outer arch to get that lined up properly, because I don't think that's lined up properly. Silly arse. Right. Sill on this side is nowhere near as bad as it is on the other side. I mean, it's bad on this side. It's definitely been patched one time too many. I suspect when I get underneath it, there's nothing holding the chassis mount on under there. And taking this corner section out, again, will give me good access to that. It will. Oh, new springs over there as well. I wonder where... Are they front or rear? I've forgotten what I've actually done on this thing. A new pair of springs. I suspect they're front. But we'll see. I mean, ultimately, I think this body's going to come off the chassis and I want to restore the chassis. That'll be a laugh, won't it? That will be a laugh. I need to find somewhere to store all these things. where they're not going to get ruined. Door hinges were all fairly good. Regular lube. Right, I think on that note, I've had enough. That's been quite a productive afternoon, a couple of hours to get that all apart like that. I know the driver's door's leaning against the rear passenger door. Rear passenger door is scrap anyway, so I'm less worried about that. And driver's door, apart from a dent there and a dent along this edge here, I could probably salvage the driver's door. There's a few bits on the frame. It's not as bad as a lot of them. This is the one that I did a video on where, oh right, okay. I welded up all the hinge edge and then didn't bother painting it because I thought, oh, I'll do that later on. This is what happens. You're never allowed to work on your own car. Never. Break the old vacuum out. So, just get all of this years of dust and detritus out of the inside of the car. Rear footwell looks in really good order in this. So yeah, it's just the outer edges that have caused me the problems here. And yeah, just tacking things into place probably wasn't the best of my welding, really, was it? I mean, I did this years ago. Never mind. Now, I think what I really want to do is, having watched me vacuum, I'm going to need to take this seam seal off here and here, and along here, work out where the edges are, and drill it. That's all going to be with the zip wheel, I think. I'll turn the camera off because I don't want to attack the camera with my zip wheel, but yeah, come back to it in a moment. Mr. Zip has done his work, taken all the brush on seam sealer, and now I can see all of the spot welds. Just go and mark them all down here. My pen that writes on turds has almost run out. I might need another one, but in the meantime, has it run out? Might have run out. That end will do. And then we've got one there, there, there. Because while you got the light, you see, it doesn't half help if you dot out these spot welds where you can see them. Well, quite a few up here. I think we'll start with these ones down here. So all I do is I drill a pilot hole, well not even a pilot hole, just a pilot, and then use one of this style of spot weld drills to put a circle around the spot welds. I need a chair and I need my drill. Where's my drill gone? Drillius! Over there. Right, so having marked all the holes out, some of these holes I can drill right the way through. So this panel is sacrificial. That I want to keep, that I want to keep, that I want to keep. So I'm going to use the spot weld drills down these. I'm going to drill straight through these because it's on the top of the sacrificial sill. And the sill's going. So each of these can go straight through. Each of these can go straight the way through because again, the sill, outer sill, and the floor. So the outer sill is the bit that's underneath, that bit's been replaced. Just makes life just a little bit easier. More lube. There's that. Now up here, I've got a feeling that I'm probably going to not bother drilling anything out of here. I'm going to take the panel off, complete that lip, and then I'm going to make it good on the bench. So having done those, that can come out. This can go in. And then with this, as soon as you see the black mist, you know you've gone through the panel. Oops. You bastard. That one down there. One at the top here. Then we need Mr. Chisel and Mr. Tappy. Mr. Chisel. What have I done with you? The tap is down here. And then that top one's going to need, it's actually a bead of weld up there, I can see it now. As soon as you find something that looks like it's not going to come off, like that bit there isn't going to come off, we just need to drill that just a teensy bit further. That should come off now. There it goes. One needs to come off a bit more. We're more or less done on that. Come off. Yep. Now, I think what we do then, these holes I drilled round here, I'm probably going to have to drill them bigger. We'll probably go up to about an 8mm. I was probably about 6mm before. Let's go for an 8mm hole for each of those, because then the hole that I'm drilling in the upper panel, I would then use that for plug welding when it all goes back together again. So it's not doing it much more kind of harm than it would need to do. bastard. Use the step drill instead. One down here somewhere. There isn't. Right, let's use basil just to get the swarf out of the way, because that's the sort of shit that ends up in the back end of your finger and then you can't get it out and it just gets more and more bloody painful. So just be aware of the swarf when you are working like this. Now I can see already there's a big bead of weld right there, so that needs to come out. But I can see if the rest of it is loose enough to start lifting. Yep. Floor is all come up. Lots of seam sealer underneath. Oh, I can see right there. Quite a faint spot weld right there. See ya. Right, floor is up. Now, do we then want to release the spot weld there? Might do. We might. But because that is an area I might want to keep, I'll use the spot weld drill. Now, there's a bead of weld in the corner there. So all of these areas where there's beads of weld, all I'll eventually do is get the angle grinder in there just to loosen it off. That's all come out and clear. Beads of weld along there. Let's vacuum it. Right, the other thing I want to do is take off the seatbelt support. I can see some spot welds. I can see one right there. I can see one right there. Drill. I can go right way through, can't I? Because I'm brain's not working. I'm going into the sacrificial sill. My nose is starting fucking running. It's probably because the temperature's just dropped about 10 degrees. That went. That one. I don't think profile on this drill's been cut properly, which is why it's doing that. That's why it's snatching. I have to recut that one. See if we can't get that to lift up. Yes, we can. That's lifted. Now, what I did with the disco and this piece. Too much noise then, folks. Goes. Was rather than drilling all the spot welds down the back here, because they're not going to be necessarily that easy to get hold of, and they're going to be even more difficult to weld up, is I'm actually inclined just to get the reciprocating saw and run down here and just chop this box off, but leave the remains there, and it then acts as my reference point. For where the top of the sill needs to go to. Let me blow my hooter. Something they've got up there, I'll tell you. Right up my nose. Now the other area I do want to find spot welds, bringing you out into the light, is in this area down here. So although I will probably end up cutting this off along here and then making it good before it all goes back on, I really wouldn't mind seeing if I can find spot welds down this face here, because again it's another reference point. If I can free the BC pillar from the sill, makes life a little bit easier. It's more aggravation for putting the new sill back in, which is why I would tend to chop the bottom off the BC pillar and weld that in from scratch. But it'll be nice to find spot welds, so I don't need a video. You get the rough idea of what I'm doing here. I am going to get Mr. Zippy. And it's out. There was a lot of talking about it, but I finally got it out. I thought you'd just like to see the process of me tearing this thing apart. Now that it is out, we can better see this lip here and what the spot welds that need to come off that. And on the reverse side of it, we can see where they put all of the enormous, great big blobs of underseal and seam sealer, which then cause so many bloody problems. Anyway, this panel is salvageable. I'm going to use this again. I don't see any real reason why I couldn't. And this, already, this car's looking better than other cars that I've faffed around with. Certainly better than the Disco. So, next steps now. And rather than me just videoing shitloads of stuff, I've disconnected the twin ABS brake lines from the L section that runs just inboard, runs about here. Disconnected those. I've also taken out the rear pad wear sensors loom, which comes up through that hole there. I've disconnected the two screws which hold the ECU down, and they're out. Now I need to take these two brackets off the floor here. So this needs to come off, this needs to come off, and the seat needs to come off. The seat base needs to come off. So what I'll probably end up doing here is I will measure from here to here and just keep that record, drill through the spot welds down here, drill through the spot welds here, drill through the spot welds there, and that, to be honest, once these spot welds have come off, I'll probably just be able to lift this up. It's almost certainly going to snap off up here, because if I remember rightly, it's only held on by that tag. But that's not a problem. We can work with that and just start working my way forwards, really. Getting things loosened up that need to be loosened up, and things that don't need to be loosened up can not be loosened up. Yeah, I'm quite almost sort of thinking, do I really want to cut this right the way back? But then when I go underneath, excuse the underside of my car, folks, because it is quite grubby under here. Well, that's the bracket that all the brake lines clip onto, and while it's got some life left in it, I need to do the inner sill, which you can see here. Inner sill is not looking beautiful. You can see where I put patches on it, and you can see where it's patched and it's rusted and blah 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 blah. So I think really, if we go into this sort of level of trouble, we just replace the outer sill completely, which, as you know from Discovery, runs up to here. So with that in mind, you can see already 3 spot welds hold that bracket on there, and if once it's off, it's out of the way, then I can access the spot welds underneath, and then it can go welded back on, plug weld back on exactly from whence it come off. And that bracket there, I don't think I need that bracket there. That's if I had air suspension, then it fixes onto that bracket. All makes sense, doesn't it? And then once I've done that, I think what I'll do is I'll end up cutting from here straight away across, take the rear section of the sill off, and it's out then. And then I can start working my way forwards. Again, I need to kind of measure between here and the A-post, or tack a piece of steel in. If I tack a piece of steel in there, I'm going to be spending the rest of my life banging my head on it, unless I tack it on down here somewhere. We'll see. I'll do something, I'm sure.